Welcome to Badminton Unlimited, your weekly access to badminton action and beyond. This week we catch up with Indonesia #1 men's singles shuttler Tommy Sugiarto as he prepares for the Thomas Cup. And we're in India to get a field report on the lead up to the biggest team tournament in international badminton, the Li Ning BWF Thomas and Uber Cups. In Indonesia, badminton doubles reigns supreme. The country has world champions in both men's and mixed doubles. Two sets of women's doubles players in the top 10 confirm their dominance in this category. But there's one player who is keeping the nation's singles flag flying. This patriot is none other than Tommy Sugiarto.
Olahraga bulu tangkis ini sangat digemari di
Badminton is truly enjoyed by everybody here, so naturally, the national players' progress is closely followed. These fans put in so much faith and confidence in us, so that Indonesia will do well in the sport. So whenever I play in any tournament, I make sure I do my very best for the country.
We travelled to the Indonesian capital, Jakarta, to catch up with the country's #1 singles shuttler. When we met, he was in the midst of his preparations for the Thomas Cup. As Indonesia has been the most successful country in this team-oriented tournament, he was fully aware of his responsibility.
This is a team competition. It's for the country's glory. It's no longer about individual honors. And if it's the best for Indonesia, it'll mean that everybody benefits. No matter what events they play in, it will be good.
For those who follow Indonesia's rich badminton legacy, they will find Tommy's surname very familiar. The 26-year-old is the son of former world champion Icuk Sugiarto. So, naturally, the pressure to follow his father's footsteps has been immense.
Saya menekuni di bidang yang sama.
I'm pursuing the same sport as him, so it seems that I'm always in his shadows. Everyone knows about his achievements. I'm obviously still making small steps to reach his heights. In fact, I'm trying to do even better because, as with any parent, they want their children to do better than them.
But since the day he first picked up the racket as a 6-year-old, the Jakarta-born shuttler gradually learned to channel the pressure in a positive manner.
Ya, itu membuat saya menjadikan inspirasi.
I use that as my inspiration because I grew up learning his journey as a player before he became world champion. He would tell me about going through really tough training and things like that. I regard him as an idol, even though he is my own father.
Meskipun itu ayah saya sendiri.
It was at his father's club, Pelita Bakri, that Tommy started learning and plying his trade. He won the national junior tournament at the age of 16 and was quickly invited to train at the National Academy. 2 years later, he demonstrated his potential when he collected silver at the 2006 BWF World Junior Championships in Korea. His stock was on the rise and there was talk that the country had unearthed another Taufik Hidayat, the legendary Indonesian shuttler. But a loss of form saw Tommy dropped twice from the national setup.
The second time, I asked to withdraw completely and not to be considered for selection. I had doubts whether I could improve and be a world-class player. I was even ready to resume my studies. I wasn't interested in badminton anymore at that point in time.
Main badminton lagi, bulu tangkis lagi.
While it did sap his self-confidence, the right-hander didn't give in. Even with the weight of a nation on his shoulders, Tommy was able to refocus.
I rediscovered my form and was performing well again for my club in the national championships. Before I knew it, I was back competing in the international challenge and Grand Prix tournaments. It came to a point where I rose as high as 3rd in the rankings.
He racked up 4 international challenges in the space of 2 years before finally tasting his first major title at the 2011 Chinese Taipei Open. But his defining moment was in his maiden Super Series appearance at last year's Singapore Open. In the final, he was facing the defending champion, Thailand's Bunsak Ponsana.
Ya mungkin sebelum final mungkin pasti ada rasa nervous atau apa.
Maybe before the final, I was feeling a bit nervous. Bunsak Ponsana is a familiar name within the Singapore crowd, having won and appeared in the finals before, so they were behind him. It somehow spurred me to even go all out and give my best against Bunsak, who obviously is an experienced player. I didn't give up and surrender.
Tapi itu tidak membuat saya menyerah, putus asa.
With the match at one apiece, the deciding game was on the brink at 2014 in favour of the Indonesian. The experienced Thai threatened an unlikely comeback, but the Indonesian quickly regained composure and kept his cool.
That's gone long, and Tommy Sugiarto of Indonesia has won his first ever Super Series title.
Rasanya pasti sangat senang sekali.
The feeling is simply awesome. I didn't expect to win the Singapore Open in what was my Super Series debut and defeating a player of Bunsak's caliber.
Tommy wrapped up last year by finishing second to world number 1 Lee Chong-wei at the BWF World Superseries finals. Apart from a runner-up finish at the Malaysia Super Series premiere in January, 2014 has been a quiet year for the Indonesian due to a recurring heel injury. But having worked hard to regain some fitness, he's keen to make up for lost time.
For
the meantime, I'm focused on the team for the Thomas Cup, and hopefully I can kick on to win the upcoming Super Series tournaments and of course the World Championships in August and September's Asian Games.
Proud, determined and fit once again, Tommy Sugiarto is focused on carrying on the family name, and that's good news for Indonesia, but not so for his opponents.
My favorite holiday destination is Bali in Indonesia. My favorite food is some pasta, some kind of pasta. My favorite song is Let Her Go from Passenger. My favorite lazy day is go out with my friend, go to the cinema or go shopping. My favorite badminton venue is in Indonesia Open Premier. My best birthday gift is in 2009 when my parents could come to the European Championship and I won. My most feared opponent is the Chinese players. If I play mixed double, I would like to play with Carsten Morgensen because I could play with him in Indian Badminton League and I feel so good on court. My sporting hero is Rafa Nadal. My superstition before a match is I have to stay in the hall 1.5 hours before the match. If I were a superhero, my power is gonna be my competitive character, keep my character, and maybe jump on court.
Let's test your badminton knowledge in this week's Who Am I? I was born in India. I made my international debut in 2003. I am the first Indian to win a badminton medal at the Olympics. The answer is Saina Nehwal. Nehwal was born in 1990 in Jalalpur, India. She holds 6 Super Series titles and became the first ever Indian to win an Olympic medal in badminton when she won the bronze at the London Games in 2012. She is India's #1 women's singles player. We head to Taipei now, the capital of Chinese Taipei. With a population of just over 23 million, it's dwarfed by its neighbours Japan and China. We're here to investigate the promising progress this relatively small island nation has been making in badminton. Chinese Taipei has been producing some impressive badminton talent of late. 20-year-old Tai Tzu-ying is currently ranked 7th in the world. The doubles teams are also making their mark, with Li Shengmu and Tsai Chia-sin currently 5th in the BWF men's doubles. The sport is now making inroads in a traditionally baseball-crazy nation.
The standard of Taiwan badminton is improving. We can attest to this from the international rankings of our players. For example, our women's doubles pairing, Chen Guanxing and Jian Lijing, once held the world #1 ranking. Our women's singles player, Tai Tzu-ying, is also now holding the #6 or 7 spot. As for our men's singles players, they are at the 20s or 30s rankings. Men's doubles players also show great results. As you can see, the efforts that the Federation have put on these players are starting to show results.
The increased profile of the sport has meant that parents are now encouraging their children to look at badminton as a viable sporting career. The country does not have the same infrastructure as its larger neighbours. There are no full-time badminton schools or training centres. Therefore, an increasing number of academic schools are offering badminton training programs as an extracurricular activity. One such school is the National Keelung Senior High School. It is considered one of the best schools in the country due to a combination of academic study and badminton training. It caters for students between the ages of 15 to 18 years old. But even though the school is fundamentally an educational establishment, that doesn't mean students are not expected to be committed to the rigorous training a would-be badminton professional requires.
When it comes to sports, they must definitely have the physical abilities and endurance and also skills. For that, we separate the training into 2 parts, morning and afternoon. Because they have classes in the morning, we set the morning training from 6 AM to 7:30 AM. And at 8:10 AM, they go for their classes till about 2 PM. The afternoon training starts from 3 PM and ends at 6:30 PM.
Despite the hard work needed and balancing their schoolwork and training regimen, it seems that the students are more than happy to be part of the program.
I think the standard is getting better and better because of the right environment and good coaches. The training regime is equally good. Therefore, I think we should be able to perform better on an international level.
The National Association has recognized the importance of this school system in developing talent. They keep a close relationship with them, and when they spot a player with talent, they are quick to provide the assistance needed.
Our association mostly provides monetary support. As for skills training, we try to scout for potential players when they are in high school and provide funding for their training. Let them participate in national events. If a player shows tremendous talent, we will allow him the chance to get the exposure of international level earlier by enrolling him to play in World Junior events.
Tai Tzu-ying was one of the first players to come out of this school system. She was spotted at an early age and was fast-tracked into the senior ranks.
We rarely have high school students get selected for the national team. Tai Tzu-ying is the first to do that. Her parents love playing badminton. She has full support from her parents. As I've mentioned before, whether a player gets to continue this path is decided by the parents. In her case, her parents support her wholeheartedly, and she is the first high school student to get selected for the national team.
Success stories like Tai Tzu-ying are a testament that the high school system produces results. Despite its unconventional setup, Chinese Taipei is getting it done. It may be a small country, but it's hoping to punch above its weight in the future. We're in India now for what many consider the World Cup of badminton. New Delhi is the backdrop for this edition of the men's tournament, the Thomas Cup, and the women's event, the Uber Cup. Nations from across the badminton globe descended on the capital to take part in the two prestigious competitions. This is the first time India has hosted both events, as a sign of their growing importance in the badminton community. But with it comes expectation.
I think overall we've had our players play in this venue previously, and we've had some good experience here, and I'm hopeful that we'll have a positive effect of the home crowd, but definitely it's more pressure.
There are 16 nations vying for each trophy. They're divided into 4 groups of 4. India are in a competitive group, including Malaysia, Korea and Germany for the Thomas Cup, and Thailand, Canada and Hong Kong for the Uber Cup. The best they've done is making it to the quarter-final stage in both tournaments, and are looking to at least match this on home soil.
We've come here 10 days before to get used to the conditions, and we've had good practice sessions. First time of the year, we are playing. All of us are playing as a team, so the bonding is very good.
I also skipped Asian Badminton Championship for this event because it's in India, and first time India is hosting such a big event, which is equal to World Championships in team events. So I hope this time our team does well in front of the home crowd. In fact, the other singles players, Sindhu and Jwala Ashwini, have done really well in the ABC, so the confidence is really high.
Of course, the nation that all have eyes on is China. They are a giant in the sport and a colossus in both the Thomas and Uber Cups. Ever since they entered these events in the early 80s, they have been virtually unbeatable. They're going for their 10th title in the men's competition and a record-breaking 6th in a row. Their cause has been boosted greatly by the return of Lin Dan. The 30-year-old is considered by many to be the best shuttler to have played the game, having claimed 5 World Cups, 2 Olympic and 5 Thomas Cup golds, to name a few. He will certainly provide the experience to his younger teammates.
This
time is different for China because the past 10 years, the team has performed very well and produced very good results. Because of such players as Lin Dan, Chai Yun, Fu Haifun, Yu Yang, and so on, that has helped young players to perform well. This time round, the team is depending more on the younger players, like women's doubles Bao Yixing, Tang Jinghua, and Chen Long. The senior players are now playing a more supporting role, so players like Lin Dan are playing a different role.
In the Uber Cup, China are even more dominant, having won 13 of the last 15 editions. Korea was the last team to beat them in the tournament in 2010. The recent Asia Championship proved they can compete with their East Asia rivals in a one-off match, but throughout a series will be a different proposition.
China is obviously the #1 team, so they are the team that we are really worried about. We don't want to play them in the quarter or semi-finals, but if we get them in the finals, then that's when we think we can do something. Maybe we can put pressure on them and make them nervous.
Whilst Asia continues to rule badminton, Europe's threat is expected to come in the shape of Denmark. The Scandinavian nation is considered the best country to have never won the Thomas or Uber Cups.
I think we'll aim for a medal. I think we have the team to go for a medal, but still we need a bit of luck, and there are so many strong teams, and many of the other teams are so strong overall, and yeah, we need to have some luck and play our best game to win a medal.
Our target is to go through to the quarterfinals, but still it's also a tough goal to have. So we just have to prepare as well as we can against Malaysia in our first match and see how far it goes.
The European champions' task was made harder as men's doubles player Matthias Bo pulled out of the tournament due to illness.
Yeah, I have to play with another one during this tournament, but yeah, we have to try to do our best. Whoever I'm playing with, they are still very good. So I think it's okay for us.
But the tournament isn't just about the elite of the sport. It also affords the lesser nations an opportunity to mix with the more established countries. Nigeria are appearing at the finals of the Thomas Cup for the second time. And as Africa's sole representative in India, we caught up with them at the Players' Welcome Dinner.
We feel very, very honored and great, and we feel very successful and fulfilled because we really worked hard to make it here. It's not easy dominating the African continent to get the slot to come here.
The Thomas and Uber Cups are more than the competitions themselves. With so many players and team representatives in attendance, it provides the Badminton World Federation an opportunity to roll out programs and engage with the shuttlers. One such initiative was the BWF Player and Media Education Program.
The purpose is really to help the players become more savvy in the way they present themselves, not only to the media, but also to the public, to the fans, to whoever they interact with, simply because they are really our face of badminton. We are trying to, with the media education program, to give them certain tools, tell them about how they can interact with media and how they can actually present both themselves and our sport in the best way possible.
The atmosphere inside the Siri Fort Indoor Stadium was electric on the opening day of the Li-Ning BWF Thomas and Uber Cup finals. The action-packed Sunday began with 2 Thomas Cup and 2 Uber Cup ties. Denmark versus Hong Kong and England versus Japan in Group B of the Thomas Cup, and Australia went up against Indonesia, with Korea against Singapore in Group X of the Uber Cup. Denmark got off to a strong start, beating Hong Kong China 4-1. The Danes emerged comfortable winners despite the absence of double stalwart Matthias Bo. Janno Jorgensen led the way in the first singles with a rout of Hu Yun 21-11, 21-16. In the afternoon session, the Malaysian men's team cruised to victory with a 4-1 win over host nation India. World number 1 Lee Chong-wei paved the way for his team in the first singles by beating Kidambi Srikanth 21-19, 21-12 in 35 minutes. Not the start the Indian fans hoped for. After a disappointing performance by their men's team, it was the Uber Cup side that gave the passionate Indian crowd their money's worth. The women's team were in scintillating form as they whitewashed the Canadians 5-0. It was a perfect end to a vibrant day of action. Keep watching Badminton Unlimited as we bring you all the best from the Li-Ning BWF Thomas and Uber Cups. Before we go, let's find out what else is happening in the world of international badminton in our calendar. Next week on Badminton Unlimited, we catch up with Danish dynamic duo Camilla Ritter-Juhl and Christina Pedersen as they talk about their career. And we're in Thailand to find out a little more about their junior men's doubles champions Deshapol Puavaranukroh and Kittinapong Ketlin. See you then.